So Peyton Manning's at the Senior Bowl, and he talked about Brian Callahan joining the Tennessee Titans. And of course, that all brought up the fact of our situation with Joe Burrow and now Dan Pitcher. So let's go ahead and hear what Peyton Manning has to say and kind of give my thoughts and opinions after we listen.
I talked to Rand during the interview process, and that was one of the first things that jumped out to me was how Brian would benefit Will. And I've enjoyed getting to know Will and keeping up with him. And, he got some good experience in his first year, but now you're looking for some continuity in the system. And the good thing about Brian, I know he's calling the plays this year, but it'll be the same system the entire time. That's so critical to a quarterback. That's how I had it in my career. Joe Burrow's going to have the same system as long as Zac Taylor's there. So that's a real plus for any young quarterback, and Will benefit from that. It's quarterback friendly. There's answers on every play, and as a quarterback, that's what you're looking for.
And he's not wrong. As long as Zac Taylor is our head coach, he will be calling the offensive play calls. But to his point, this is why a lot of quarterbacks do fail and do flop. Because of the fact there's so much change at the head coaching position, offensive coordinator position, over the years. And when you're trying to develop as a young quarterback, it's difficult to overcome that. I mean, you look at Baker Mayfield, right? He went from having Freddie Kitchens, then he goes to a new offensive coordinator, then they got a new one after that. It was a mess. And yes, Will Levis now having Brian Callahan not only as the head coach, but also the OC is going to be very, very beneficial. Especially because of the fact that over the next, you got to think, let's say the Titans next season, I think they can at least go above 500 under Brian Callahan. He's the OC. They're not going to get rid of, if they get rid of the OC, they'd have to get rid of him. So it's going to always be, over the next couple years, for Will Levis, Brian Callahan as the starting guy. And to Zac Taylor's point, and to the point that Peyton Manning made right here, yes, Zac Taylor's offense and Brian Callahan's offense obviously coincide because, he was calling the offense the last 5 years, and Zac Taylor also helps. Brian Callahan helped. Zac Taylor was calling it. That's all I'll say. But a lot of it has been easy check down options, right? I mean, we make fun of it, but the screen passes every single 3 seconds, it feels like. The check downs out of the backfield to the running back. The quick passes across the middle. All that kind of stuff where, you look at Joe Burrow and you're like, do we really need to do that? This is Joe Burrow. This is Shiesty. He could throw a missile down the field. He could really open up this offense. But it's very simplistic, basic, and easy to run and run at a high level. And that's what, Will Levis is about to get in Tennessee. He's about to get an offense that he can run very efficiently. And even though he's young and, it's going to take some time to develop and get better and get to a level that, he's like the best of the best, this is going to get him there in the best direction possible. This is why Tennessee went and got Brian Callahan. Because they already knew that, they had, the coach they had, Mike Vrabel, he was a linebacker, right? He's a defensive-minded guy. If they're going to advance and be able to correctly develop a quarterback, the best thing to have is going to be an offensive-minded coach. And that's what Brian gives them. He doesn't only give them that, he also gives them the OC, they're going to need to kind of move forward and be successful with Will Levis. So I'm very interested to see how the Mayo Man, Will Levis, definitely does over the next couple years. I think the Titans could be a really good team. They definitely could. And I will always root for Brian Callahan. I don't really like the Titans as much, but I will root for Brian Callahan because, I want to see him be successful. I want to see him go out there and do some great things. So hopefully everything works out there. But for our case, the thing is, it's kind of funny now because Joe has grown past that, though, when it comes to having to have the same coordinator and coach and everything. I mean, again, like I said, I'm fine. I want Zac Taylor here. I love Zac Taylor. My point is, though, now Joe's kind of on his own, path, his own beaten path. He can audible at the line of scrimmage. He can change plays. And he's been able to do that really since year 2, pretty much. Year 1, he got hurt. But year 2, he's been able to do this kind of stuff because he is that good of a quarterback. So he kind of can change plays and call plays in a way that benefit us a little bit more. And I will say, going into next season, I would love to see him do that more often. I loved Zac Taylor, and again, like I said, his play calling sometimes can make me scratch my head. I would like to see potentially, Joe changing some plays, maybe changing to a run play, change to a pass play. I feel like Joe kind of lets Zac, run the show and do whatever Zac calls. I would like to see Joe maybe step up a little bit and be like, nope, we're going to call audible. I want to do this, and this. We don't usually see that happen. But with that being said, we'll kind of see what next season gives us, because now Brian's gone and Dan Pitcher's in, and we'll see if Dan Pitcher gets a little bit more say-so. Because keep in mind one big thing here. We covered in the channel about a week or two ago. The last thing that Zac Taylor was going to give Brian before he left, the last, kind of ditch effort to hold him on and say, no, don't go. He was considering giving up play calls, fully giving up play calls to Brian Callahan. So pretty much, hey, Brian, you stay, you call all the offense, I won't call anything. And that was the last thing, the last ditch effort. We actually learned that from, I forget what the guy's name is. Lapham? Yeah, Lapham. We learned that from Lapham, where he said that was the last thing that Coach Taylor was going to do before Brian Callahan left, was he was going to give up all the offensive play calls and let him call everything. Now, we're not going to probably see that with Dan Pitcher, as he's our first year as an OC, but we'll have to wait and see, because if Zac Taylor was open to that, maybe we could see that happen. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I'll see you guys in the next one.